Microsoft announced some sunset dates, which we'll cover, as well as paths that Celestix has laid out for you to keep supporting TMG and UAG in your environment. At any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to put your question into the chat window or into the question pane, and we'll go ahead and answer those as we can. At the end, we will also open up the floor, the bridge here for everybody to ask their own questions here. Also, we will post this on our website, so if there's anything you did miss, you'll be able to view it after our presentation today. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So our agenda today, pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about Celestix and why you should care about what an awesome company we are and who I am. We're going to talk a little bit about the capabilities of Forefront TMG and UAG. We'll talk about options for TMG and UAG 2010 customers, both from a long-term support and even a migration strategy to newer platforms. We'll wrap it up with some milestone dates for support, just so everybody's clear on when and where support will end and what will be covered. And then we'll wrap up with our summary and next steps. So a little quick about myself, a little quick introduction. I'm Benjamin Derr, as I mentioned previously. I'm the Senior Sales Engineer from North America. I am, from all intents and purposes, the technical sales supportive contact. So in a pre-sales environment, or if you're want to get more information, I'm your point of contact to do the technical deep dives, presentations, or proof of concept assistance. I am obviously Microsoft certified, working on Microsoft platforms for quite a bit of time. In fact, I've been in this industry for about 18 years. I started off working with the United States Air Force, and then did a lot of different engagements, consulting, and then moved to Celestix a little over a year ago. And lastly, my focus really is around core infrastructure, management, and remote access solutions. So a lot of those pieces of the glue of the infrastructure, if you will, that make all the end users happy. A little bit about Celestix. We have been in business since 1999. Really started off making security appliances for RSA and their Secure ID platform. And then from there, we moved into providing special purpose hardware for a variety of remote access solutions within the Microsoft ecosystem. We are a worldwide company headquartered in Fremont, California, with offices in India, China, Singapore, and Japan, and the United Kingdom. Currently, we have about 5,000 customers under current maintenance support contracts, and a large variety of them are running our TMG, UAG, and our Cloud Edge security appliance platforms. So we have other individuals still running some of our legacy products, such as Linux systems, RAS solutions, and Radius solutions. Global Alliances, we are Microsoft's largest OEM hardware provider for their security and remote access solutions, as well as tied into many of the vendors and resellers that you may use on a day-to-day basis. So we'll take a little minute and just really quickly cover what TMG and UAG does, for those of you that may not be aware of the full breadth of capabilities. For TMG, we look at it from really three pillars of capabilities here. The first is a remote access gateway, which is your remote user functionality, web application proxy and publishing, server applications, really just from a firewall perspective, IPsec and point-to-point tunneling protocol VPNs, as well as site-to-site for connecting branch offices or connecting cloud infrastructures. It is also a secure web gateway, really from a content filtering, malicious download, scanning, blocking users from visiting illegal or HR prohibited websites there. The last piece was around unified threat management. Really, Microsoft tried to really position it as an all-in-one solution for your medium office-sized businesses, your branch offices, to provide a host of variety of functions. Firewalling, the content filtering, publishing applications, site-to-site VPN, traffic inspection, and intrusion prevention there. So it did quite a variety of functions there. UAG, on the other hand, even though it was built on top of TMG and uses it as its engine, was really focused around providing remote access. And it did it really in four distinct methods there. The first was your straightforward application publishing, obviously geared toward the Microsoft platform because it's a Microsoft product, but also had good capabilities to publish generic applications, thick applications, and other non-Microsoft-based web applications. One of the main features around it was its mobile access method, and be able to really take a look at the device itself and render the screen size and the form factor appropriately there. It also did endpoint inspection and session cleanup, which a lot of customers did use. And endpoint inspection was the ability to profile a device and be able to allow, limit, or deny access to a particular application based upon the profile of the device, as well as the user authorization information there. It also acted as a remote desktop gateway, providing access for terminal services, remote apps, and Citrix XenApps. And the last piece was around network access, SSL VPN, full tunneling capabilities. So let's talk a little bit about options for migrating to Forefront TMG 2010. And this is really not just for migrating to the platform, but obviously from a support standpoint, what can we handle here? The first piece of information I want to show to you and announce to you is our Celestix software support. This is an offering that we just recently launched in the last few weeks, and what we are doing is providing software support for TMG customers. For companies that have TMG deployed in their infrastructure, they deployed it virtually, they deployed on their own physical hardware, but are looking for support options beyond Microsoft's deadline here, which is happening next year. We will provide break and fix support until 2020. The exact date is April 2020, for those of you curious. And what we do is provide any on-call support for your current TMG infrastructure. Again, from a platform perspective, we are not caring if you deployed it virtually, if you deployed it on a hardware solution such as Dell or HP server hardware, or if you deployed it on appliances. We will not cover base OS or software updates to TMG. We will not have access to any of the source code, and obviously from the underlying operating system, Microsoft will never share that with us anyway, because that is your proprietary information. The other options available for current customers is we have a couple different options, two different options, and these are for customers that really may not have an appliance today but are looking to gain an appliance form factor or look into the future. The current one is to migrate to a Celestix MSA appliances. So if you deployed it virtually, if you deploy on Dell hardware, which may be aging, or other server-specific hardware, we are offering options to migrate to our current platforms. And really kind of benefits for you are four major benefits. We can do an in-place migration, so really a side-by-side and attach our appliances to your current infrastructure and then decommission your legacy systems. You can use it to scale up current deployments. So if you're running into some capacity problems, especially around older hardware, we can help scale those out. We can replace existing installs, and our appliances are going to be future-proof and upgradable. And what we mean by that is that our current hardware will be upgradable to our next version of our solution, which is the Cloud Edge Security Appliance. For customers that are using TMG today and are saying, hey, if we understand that it's aging, we understand the underlying operating system is aging, we want to take a look at your next appliance, next version of your solution here, which is our Cloud Edge Security Appliance. And the features it really has is really three major features, as you can see here. The first is around web application proxy. So if you're publishing SharePoint or Exchange services in a very simple manner, definitely take a look at those pieces there. From a remote access or computer access, user access experience, it does offer Microsoft's direct access for always-on network connectivity, as well as legacy VPN, so your IPsec VPN or your PPTP or your SSTP VPN. For your Mac systems, for your Linux, Windows XP, partner systems, things of that nature. And the last piece, it does offer a remote desktop services gateway function. So if you're publishing VDI farms or remote applications, you can still maintain that function today with our Cloud Edge Security Appliance solution. Some of the considerations, though, for you customers that are thinking about, what do we want to migrate to in the future, and what does TMG offer today that I need to really think about hard for the future. I've listened here. There's about 6 different areas. The first one I'd like to bring up is certificate-based authentication. We saw a large number of users use this with ActiveSync, and the reason really was around secure authentication and trying to limit the number of devices accessing ActiveSync, as well as provide some sort of identity rather than username and password. With certificate-based authentication, the Microsoft recommendation is to simply do pass-through with the new Server 2012 R2 platform and have it just really terminate at the CAS layer there, or the edge servers. If you're publishing any server publishing rules, or if you said, for example, FTP or straight RDP into your network sessions or thick client type of communications, obviously the recommendation there is to migrate that to your enterprise firewalls. If you've customized any code to your login experience, or if you have any third-party plugins, you can publish the web app proxy. A lot of vendors are updating their code to meet the new Server 2012 R2 proxy functions and how to integrate in that. but that's obviously going to depend upon the vendor port there. The last two pieces have to do around different authentication models, which I know some users are very concerned about. The first is really around LDAP authentication. This is really for organizations that have large force in their environment, large number of Active Directory force or disparate domains, especially those companies that are doing a lot of merger and acquisition scenarios there. In the new functions and new solutions, there's really no LDAP functionality, but you can obviously accomplish the same authentication with either pass-through authentication or by using force trust there. And the last is really around the two-factor or radius authentication. If you're using Secure ID or if you're using our hotpin solution or another one-time password type solution, these are all going to be based upon the vendor supporting the web application proxy for integration to that solution. Now let's talk a little bit about options for migrating to Forefront UAG or supporting your Forefront UAG 2010 solution here. Again, as I mentioned previously, from a support contract perspective, we are also supporting UAG 2010 from a software side only, just the same as TMG 2010 here. Applies to all your current UAG 2010 users in your installation base. Again, timelines are the same. We'll provide break and fix support until 2020, and we really don't mind how you deployed it. It could be on, doesn't have to be on our hardware, is what we're saying here. Virtualized and hardware platforms. And again, same with TMG. Since we will not have access to any of the source code, we will not cover any base operating system or software updates to that solution there. We will, however, provide, again, that on-demand support as you need to in case of a break-fix scenario. Again, just as what you had with TMG 2010, some of the methods for providing support. The first one, obviously, is migrating to our appliance factor. That would be the, in my opinion, the optimal solution, just from a current hardware perspective and the longevity of your solution there. You can do in-place migrations, so you can scale out currently what you have and run them side by side, replace your existing installs, and again, our solutions will be future-proof and upgradable to newer versions of our solutions here. So if you buy our appliance again and our solution on UAG or TMG, you'll be able to upgrade those in place to our newest solution in the future when you're ready to make that move. From a capabilities perspective, again, web application proxy, the direct access and legacy VPN. I know quite a few customers deployed UAG to support direct access and remote connectivity there. Again, this is a great way to get to the current standards, upgrade to the new features such as multi-site connections, and still be able to maintain access for your Windows 7 clients out there. And the last piece is the remote desktop services functionality, which I did mention previously. Some of the different considerations, though, for UAG, because it does do different features and capabilities, and I put them in here with about 7 different items for you to really consider when moving to the cloud security appliance. The first one is really around endpoint inspection. A lot of customers use this to verify things such as domain join, system connectivity, is the antivirus up and running, is the system patched, are there any current security threats, things of that nature. The world, and Microsoft including, is moving really away from endpoint inspection. We can debate the pros and cons of that, but the reality is that our business units and our users are really requiring, hey, we want to be able to access our data and our content from any device. So as IT professionals, we need to look more at protecting the data rather than protecting that connection. The other point of this, though, is that a lot of the consumer-type tablets don't support endpoint inspection. Apple and the iPad iOS, more specifically, you can't run any endpoint inspection on there because we can't get access to anything outside of the Internet Explorer bubble, or sorry, the Safari bubble. Instead, you can use the workplace join for trusted device access. It's a nifty feature within the web application proxy, and what it does is it marks the device as a trusted consumer device there. If you have any customizations to your login code or experience, such as branding, definitely you can brand it and add in your own code as you see fit there for customizing end users and making their life simpler. If you have any third-party plugins, again, going to depend upon the plugin functionality and the vendor support there. If you're using any LDAP authentication, two-factor radius authentication, just to note, there is no LDAP authentication again in our new product, and the two-factor is dependent upon your vendor support and integration into the web application proxy. For those customers running direct access, you realize it's a great solution and it's worked out very well. Definitely look at upgrading to Server 2012 R2 for enhancements there. Again, some of the big features are Windows 8 support and the multi-site selection choosing for clients that will be roaming around the world. And then last piece is ADFS proxy support. For customers that are running an ADFS infrastructure, may have deployed it on server 2008, server 2012. This is the latest version, version 3.0, and the web application proxy does both publishing applications as well as providing support for proxy-enabled and claims issue situations there. Some of the milestone support dates, just want to make everybody aware. Obviously, September 2012 was the day that will live in everybody's infamy for those of us in this specific industry. Microsoft announced the sunset dates for these two products here. Just a note, the sunset date just means that Microsoft is not issuing out any major versions. So they're not going to be releasing a TMG 2014, for example, or UAG 2014. What they basically said is that we will continue to provide hotfixes and update rollups until mainstream supports, and then mainstream support ends. And then from there on, if you do need extra updates or there's security vulnerabilities, you need to enter into an extended support contract. For the mainstream support, it is ending April 2015. So at that point, unless you are under extended support with Microsoft, there will be no more software updates coming for you. December 2015, for those of you that are using the content filtering functionality in the malware scanning, Microsoft will not be issuing out any more updates to those particular catalogs and web services after December 31st. So if you're using it to secure users filtering and provide a lockdown environment where they can't access Facebook during non-lunch hours, that function will be decommissioning. As of January 2018, we will, as a company, Celestix, end our support for ISO 2006. So those customers that are running in the ISO 2006, we look at you and recommend looking at either TMG or a web application proxy. April 2020, the two major milestones in that month, we will be ending mainstream support for our non-appliance TMG and UAG 2010 customers. So for those of you that subscribe to a software contract, that is when the support date will end, as well as the end of extended support from Microsoft. The last one, January 2023, there will be the end of our support for our appliances. So for those customers that do opt to migrate to our appliance form factor, you will be guaranteed support until January 2023, which is a long way off. And lastly, from a next step perspective, there are a couple things that we would recommend you do. First and foremost is request a one-on-one deep dive with us. We're more than willing and be glad to talk with you about your current situation, which you have deployed, and how best to move forward, provide some guidance there as we see fit. You can sign up for a hardware evaluation program. We offer free of charge proof of concept appliances. So for those of you that like to test drive an appliance and just see how it could work, we definitely offer our appliances free of charge. You can request a maintenance support quote. What we would need to know is just how many instances of TMG you have, or UAG deployed in your environment. We do offer proof of concept and migration assistance. So those of you that are looking to either migrate to our Cloud Edge security appliance solution, or looking to migrate onto our current hardware for either TMG or UAG, we do definitely offer assistance for those situations. Recommend you follow us on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn just to keep up to date on our current happenings and our announcements. And then finally, you can contact us at sales@celestix.com. And with that, I do see a question, so I will go ahead and answer that question now. The question that was asked, what are the minimum requirements for the base operating system? If we're talking TMG and UAG, the requirements there are Windows Server 2008 R2 only, so you have to be on that platform. For our Cloud Edge security appliance, it is built on Windows Server 2012 R2. I do see there are some other questions here. Let me go ahead and get those. Okay. The first question is, the Cloud Edge doesn't support endpoint verification the way UAG does, correct? And the answer is you are correct. It does not do any endpoint inspection apart from the trusted device registration, or what they call the workplace join. What the workplace join does is it creates a marker in Active Directory, so it actually does a lightweight join of that device to Active Directory, as well as create a custom certificate for that device using identifying that device in ongoing web application proxy sessions. The question is, an MSA 6200 with UAG 2010 will be supported into 2023, and the answer is yes, as long as you're under a current maintenance support contract. So that's the key piece there. As long as you are under current contract, you will be supported. Is the SafeNet Radius authentication compatible with Celestix? The answer is yes. It depends on which Celestix we're talking about there. if we're talking about either the TMG or UAG solutions, the answer is yes. It would be done obviously through Radius. With the web application proxy, it will be up to SafeNet to actually provide the plugin code for that to integrate there, integrate with their solution. So SafeNet, I'm sure, is going to be developing that plugin if they haven't already, which is a simple assembly update. So I would see that coming if it's not already there. If there's any other questions, please feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I have reached the end of our presentation. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope this was informative for you and gave you some options for your future state and gave you some ideas to think about as you look to the future with Server 2012 R2.